Alright, so today I'm going to be going over how to recognize fallacies in arguments. So the steps to doing this are number one, understanding arguments. Number two, understanding fallacies and what they are. And number three, recognizing fallacies in an actual argument. And number four is practicing these skills. So one, what is an argument? The components to an argument they're all built to claim. So a claim is a statement that asserts something to be the case or not to be the case. The conclusion is the claim that you believe in and you're arguing for, and premises are claims that support your conclusion. Evidence are facts that support your claims. So whether the evidence is credible or not is up for you guys to accept, but it can be taken from anywhere and that'll support your claims. An example, just kind of a random argument. Football should be illegal. The premise is football causes concussions and injuries. Evidence, there are 291 concussions in the NFL in 2017. So this is a argument. That's just a random stat that I pulled off the internet, by the way. Two, what is a fallacy? Fallacy is a bad argument of types. Common types of fallacies are ad hominem, which is when you attack the person and discredit the person, which in turn discredits their claim. A red herring, which is an on-topic diversion from the argument, which is you throw something else out there that's not really the same argument, but it's on topic, so it diverts you away and makes you accept it as a valid argument. Appeal to emotions is when you provoke anger, fear, pride, or pity and use that to influence the argument. Appeal to popularity, which is peer pressure and groupthink. False dilemma, it's not this, so it must be that. If it's not A, it's B. Dilemmas can be valid arguments, but because there can be valid dilemmas, but if there's more than two options, then it's a false dilemma. So that's what you have to investigate, how many options are actually available compared to the ones laid out in the argument. Slippery slope is when you start from a small step with A to B, and then you move on to C, and then eventually D, which is completely separate from A and a total disaster in comparison. Straw man is attacking a position that the other person doesn't actually hold, and straw mans are very common, especially in politics, to attack a person on a position that's similar or related that someone could think that they actually believe, but they don't actually hold that position, and they attack that position instead, so that way they don't have to go against their actual argument. So examples of these, starting with straw man. This is just a random scenario. The president does not believe we should add any money to the defense budget. Senator Davis can't believe the president wants to leave us defenseless. So Senator Davis is saying we're not growing the budget, which means we have no budget, which means we're leaving the country defenseless. This is a straw man argument because not growing the budget doesn't mean that there's going to be no money in defense. So he's attacking an argument that the president doesn't actually hold. A red herring, here's just another random scenario. A political candidate lays out his plan for economic stimulus. His opponent begins to talk about his financial history and personal problems instead, and his personal financial problems are completely unrelated to the actual substance of his plan. So this is a red herring because it's on topic with the candidate and economics and whatnot, but it has nothing to do with the actual content of his plan, so it's diverting you away from the argument. A false dilemma. You didn't go to the charity event. You must hate other people. There are more than two options here, so the presented dilemma is false. There could be a million reasons why you didn't go to that charity event. Maybe you were volunteering at a homeless shelter. Maybe you were at another charity event. If someone were to say this to you, that would be a false dilemma because, there's unlimited reasons why you weren't there, and she's only presenting two of those. So that's a false dilemma, and that's a fallacy. So recognizing fallacies in arguments. Number one, don't accept a premise if you don't fully understand it, and does the premise support the claim? If the premise does not support the claim, then the argument contains a fallacy, which is a mistaken logic and a mistaken reason. And It's important to be skeptical when you're arguing and debating because fallacies are very common and they can often seem valid and like correct arguments. An argument is more likely than not to contain a fallacy because when you're structuring arguments, there's a million ways to make a fallacy in an argument, and there's uh, way less ways to make an actual logically sound argument. So most arguments will contain fallacies, and it's important to be skeptical and to look into that to dig deep. And it's also important to practice. Fallacies are very common, so uh, I'd start with identifying fallacies that you may believe in. That's my challenge to anyone watching this. What fallacies do you believe in, and have you recognized that they're fallacies before? And do you still believe them, or um, how would you expand on that? Because I can almost guarantee we all believe something that's either supported by a fallacy or believe a fallacious argument itself. So um, once you start by doing that, you can expand and you'll start to recognize them in arguments you have every day, and you'll become a better debater and a better critical thinker, and it will help you along as you go through life. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed.